All right, guys, so welcome back to Joe's RC Corner, and today we're going to be working on the Cruzer. However, we're going to be doing a little bit out of turn of what I originally wanted to do. We're going to start doing the wiring harness. All right, so like I said, we're going to start doing the wiring harnesses for the Avionics, because I've been putting this off for way too long. In case some of you guys might be new to the channel, may not have seen the video, but I do have tendonitis in my my left hand, my left wrist, and this week, Friday, I will be getting the surgery done to correct it. Hopefully relieve some of the pain that I've been having in my wrist. Before I get started before I do that, I want to try to get the majority of the Avionics wired up. So I may not have everything pretty much done, but I at least want to get all the interconnections done between, let's say, the EFIS, the radios, the transponders, the EIS, but I may not necessarily have all of these sensors connected to the EIS yet. But I'm going to have everything going to a terminal block for the EIS, for the engine monitoring, that is. And then all of the engine monitoring cables, all of the sensors and so on, will be coming back to that terminal block, and they're going to be labeled there. From that point, that's where the EIS will then connect to there. Using eyelets, the eye terminals, the ring terminals. That's the term I'm looking for. So that's kind of the plan for today. I'll set up my time lapse, guys, but it's going to be really boring. So I'll try to find some really good music to put in the background to keep you guys dancing with it. So other than that, guys, yeah, that's what we are doing today. We'll have the time lapse, and hopefully at the end of the day, guys, we'll be able to hit that switch on the Avionics master, and everything will light up. Okay, so as you can see, I have my nice setup out here, and so I think my 175 is fully wired up here, and so that's all set, ready to go. We have the power cables that are coming out. They are labeled. I know everything is in white, but they are labeled as to what's ground, what is positive, and there are 2 leads for power for the Garmin and 2 leads for negative on the Garmin, and then there's one that is just sensing the 12 volt coming in to turn the system on, because when I turn on my Avionics switch, I want my Garmin to turn on. So I have my ARINC connections here, and they are going to this plug here, and what this does is it goes ahead and it plugs into the Grand Rapids ARINC connection. So this is more or less kind of like a converter, and then so it takes all the data from the Garmin, and this plugs into here, and then there's another port which is over here, which goes out RS-232. This is also a serial expander, but I'm not using any additional serial ports. And then there's the power, red and black, and then these ports going into the EFIS connection here. I do have my Stratix RS232 for my ADS-B in. And then we do have the power and negatives coming out here. Also from the Garmin here, we do have a GPS RS232 GPS output, which comes out to my transponder connection. And then this connects over to the B connection on my connector. And then you have the couple ports here. We have magnetometer in, which is just going to go to a terminal plate inside the back there. And then we have audio out, which is going to go to my my comm radio, which is also an intercom. We may not get to wiring that today, but I wanted to have that wire connected. So that's there taken care of as well. So that's the plan, guy. We're going to keep going and moving along. Okay, guys, so we are done for today, but we have a Memorial Day weekend, so we have an extra day. So maybe we'll get a few more things wired up, maybe get some of the cables run back to like the GPS to make sure that is functioning. Antenna, comm, radio, get that run and up to the front. Then we can get everything completed here. I don't have the comm radio wired up yet. That's still one more thing I got to do. I got to go from here, get all the intercom cables out and kind of started. And then everything routed back there and so on. So there's quite a bit still there to do on that side. But we do have all of the cables are bundled up here. This is for the EIS. So we need to get the terminal blocks set up. So that way I can connect all of the sensors to the EIS and get that data to there and then over to this. Still have a little bit of programming to do here. That's lots of programming to get all this to work properly together, but we're getting there. So let me go ahead and clean the camera off, and we're going to go ahead and sit in the seat and turn everything on. Okay, guys, so now we're sitting inside the cockpit area here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn a few things on and show you how everything is working. So we're only going to use battery 2 because I've been using battery 1 quite a bit, and I still got to get up my charging circuitry in there. So we're going to turn on the master, and as you can see, my EIS turns on with my master switch because that's going to be my Hobbs meter, and it's also going to give me all my engine data that I really need during the start. So that is on, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn on our Avionics master switch, and this is a 35 amp breaker as well, so we're going to go ahead and turn that on. Now you'll see, because the ground is connected, it sees power. The Garmin now goes ahead and turns on. We'll go ahead and bypass the database problems there because we haven't gotten that all updated, and boom, there we go. We do not have a GPS plugged in yet, so that's why it's going to give me the no GPS. This is going through its self-checks. It does take a little bit of while. I'm not super happy with that, but by the time you get through all your engine starts and everything and you're ready to go and your engine's warming up, that should be good to go by then. So we'll let that finish its start up here. There we go. Now it is giving me errors right now because, one, it doesn't have GPS coming into it, so it doesn't have that data yet. So it did fail the GPS communication. I'm still trying to figure out all this stuff. The EIS communication is good. AHRS is good. Air data is good. But for some reason it's not talking to the ARINC. So I might need to talk to Grand Rapids about this. But we can go ahead and hit that button. No GPS communications right now. It could also just be something's not hooked up properly. I do have it set up to talk to the transponder. Transponder is not plugged in right now because I don't have an antenna on it, and I don't want it to have that if it's not connected. So I don't want it trying to talk or anything like that. So of course, AHRS magnetic head-in is lost because that magnetic is not plugged in right now. So I still got to work on that. The ARINC in serial 2, it's having issues with that, and so I got to, there we go. So I thought I had everything wired in the right spots, and I thought I went through everything, made sure everything was wired properly here. So let's go ahead and go into the menu, and we're going to take a quick look here. We'll go through all these things later, so we'll cancel that right now. And yes, we'll go into more menus and primary display setup. So yes, ARINC is plugged into port 1, serial port 1, so that is correct. Okay guys, so yeah, everything is all plugged in, ready to go. I got a few more items I got to work on plugging in. We do get my cooling fan installed back here, and we got a few more things we'll work on tomorrow, but pretty much everything is working as it should be so far. So that's where we're going to leave it for today, and we'll pick it up back in the morning. So see you in the morning, guys. All right, guys, so welcome back to the next day. I'm not sure if this is going to be the next video. If it is, then welcome to Joe's RC Corner. Okay, so as you saw in the last video or in the beginning of this video, I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet. We got a lot done here with the wiring, and we do have a lot more to go, but we are moving in the correct direction. So one thing I do need to address is I don't like all of these going into one grounding connection. We're actually going to separate that, but we're going to make a separate grounding block for that. And I got to get that mounted on the firewall because I am running out of space on the Avionics tray. So we will get a mount for another grounding block somewhere over here, and we'll start going ahead and making up new grounding lugs for it, and make sure everything has its own ground. However, still on the same ground, just a different connector for it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the plan. We will be getting to that stage. This is for my Stratix. That's going to have to go over to the other side and then somehow connect to the Stratix. It's going to be mounted down below. So today, kind of the plan is we're going to start working a little bit on the wires for the antennas, so we can get the antennas routed and the wires for the antennas routed, because I need to get my comm antenna hooked up before I even turn on that radio. We also will need to get my transponder antenna wire down over to the antenna on this side over here. So that's kind of the plan for today, guys. We're going to start working on that. But first and foremost, I need to get my charging system hooked up to the batteries here. And that's going to be routed over to that's going to be routed over there to the other side. And that way I can charge my batteries back up, because I'm playing around with all the electronics right now. We're going to wear that battery down fairly quickly. So we want to make sure that we do have a source to keep those powered up. And so that's kind of one of the plans there. We'll get that done. So other than that, let's keep moving, guys. Everything's looking really nice. I'm really happy with with how it's turning out so far. So let's just keep on working. Okay, so on the side panel here of the airplane, so we're on the passenger side. I went ahead and I put in an Anderson pole connector. And the reason why it's got two ports is because, if you remember, we have two batteries. We have battery 1, battery 2. So I wanted to be able to charge those batteries independently and not cross-feed. So the only time those batteries are cross-feeding is when they're both on, and that's when we're starting the engine. Other than that, we want these batteries to be charged independently and not have one port and then join in the two batteries inside, because then they're always connected no matter what. I didn't want that, because that's not the way the system was designed to be. We were designed to have a backup system so we can turn one off and leave one on. So if we connect the two inside and then charge them with one port, then they're always connected and they're always going to be transferring battery power between the two. So that's why I went with this setup. So we have 2 ports, battery 1, battery 2. They're going to be wired up. I haven't gotten to the wiring yet. So far, just got this. And it has a nice rubber cap that goes over it. And I did put it in the direction that the wind is going. So that way, if I forget to close it, at least it's not going to be flapping this direction. It's going to be just flapped closed. So, but it's a nice water sealed connection. Keeps that nice and protected. And then when I land, I just pop that open. And I went ahead and changed out their connectors here to the same style plug, which is these are just the Anderson pole. These are 15 amp. This only puts out 2 amps each to each battery, so that's more than enough. And we'll be able to just go battery 1, it's charging, and battery 2, and then they're charging. I can join these 2 plugs together maybe, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. And this is going to just be laid around somewhere. I got plenty of cord there to run out to it. Yeah, so that'll make it to where it's really easy to charge those batteries without damaging the cells by overcharging, discharging, so on and so on. So I think that works out really good. And when you're done charging the batteries, and just close up the cap and you're ready to fly. So this is just going to be, it's a battery tender and charger. So once the batteries reach a certain voltage, they go ahead and it goes to a tender mode, and it just maintains the battery voltage. So while the batteries are just sitting there hanging out at the airport when I'm not flying, they'll keep charged. So that's the plan, guys. So that's all set. I got to wire that up. So when I get back in there on Monday, when I pull the cowl off and bend this back up so I can get inside to start wiring, I'm going to run these wires as well. I'm just going to use 16 gauge to run the chargers cables to it. That should be fine. It is not going to be for jump starting the engine. It is not a jump start port. It is just a battery charge port. So I'm going to make up my little write in here with an arrow, and it says battery charge. And we wanted to talk about the fan a little bit. Okay, so 12 volt fan. It's just a 120 millimeter 12 volt cooling fan for a computer. I'm going to leave this exposed up to the top. Or I may just put a rubber grommet in there because I want to be able to get in there and drop some bearing grease and oil in there as needed, because it's that'll work out really nice to keep everything nice and lubricated. But like I said, it's just a 12 volt fan. Probably don't need this, but I do live in the desert, guys. I live in New Mexico, and as you know, it gets hot out here. We have high density altitudes and so on. So I wanted to make sure that my avionics never overheat and never even have a chance of overheating. So to do that, I don't have to, but I would like to have a cooling fan that basically will run all the time. I could probably put it on a switch, and maybe I will. I don't know. I just think if it's on, it's on. Then I don't have to worry about it. One less switch to worry about. And that's just going to go right here, and it's going to be wired through my avionics output. And the avionics output, as soon as I turn on avionics, basically the 12 volt fan will kick on and keep my avionics cool inside this area. Now, if they do get hot, then hey, it'll be warm up my windscreen there and keep it from fogging up. And then we have a dog here, Dusty. Dusty, hi buddy. You gonna say hi? Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. All right, guys, so today was a long day. I didn't have time lapse on, but just catch you up on what's happening here. So we got just about everything wired up. I got all my antennas wired up except for my ELT. That still has to be done, but I still have to get that mounted inside anyway. The interior side of it, the EFIS now is talking on serial port to the Garmin 175, but I can't seem to get the ARINC connection working, which would allow me to do the approaches with that Garmin GPS. So I'm going to be reaching out to both GRT and Garmin on that. I think it's a GRT issue, not a Garmin issue though. So I got to double check that. I double checked all of my settings and I wasn't able to get it working still. So we're going to go ahead and keep working. The EIS is back, it's mounted. I still have a lot of connections to do for that to get all the sensors working. But the EIS is talking to the EFIS, so that is a good sign. The other issue I'm running into is also the transponder. It's a remote transponder, and I'm supposed to be able to control it through the GRT EFIS, but for some reason it's not working. So I'm going to have to talk to GRT about that. Find out, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to have some more connections. But from what I read, only the TMAP A, TMAP B, 1 is all that is needed because everything else is controlled through that. And then the Garmin is feeding GPS data to the transponder, so that seems to be putting out a signal, but I can't tell you whether yes or no because I can't see what it's doing based on because the EFIS is what's supposed to show me the data there. So we're going to be working on that, but we do also have to still connect everything for the comm radio. That's still in the process, but I think it's becoming a little bit more of a pain to work in the garage here with this. So we might get that other door on after my surgery and maybe try to get her out to the airport, and then we can start working on the wing. Because air conditioner or not, there's not really, I can't really do anything if I have to open the door anyway, so what's the point with the air conditioning? So we're going to go ahead and maybe start looking at trying to get this out to the airport, get her in her home, and then maybe we can get that bench back in here and start the wings. Then we can go back to the avionics and everything later on. But nonetheless, guys, I'm really happy. So keep building, keep flying, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye now.